Everything's fine.
On this, the very first ever episode of Hatty's Unhinged, I am delighted to welcome someone who you will know from Drifters, Plebs, In-Betweeners, Code of a Killer, to mention but a few, and very recently in the Dakota Johnson Persuasion on Netflix. I know her because nearly 10 years ago, 10, we were cast as sisters on a TV show for Lionsgate called The Royals, and since then have become nothing short of sisters, also off screen. So much so that I'm now godmother to her little one. And she's my very best girl in the whole land. And so welcome, Lydia Rose-Bewley! Yay!
Love the introduction.
Thanks,
Thank you
man.
very much. Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm hot.
Yeah, it's
but
a
I'm
hot
okay.
day. I need to emphasize this. It's a really hot day. And did we look into air conditioning in the podcast studio before?
I don't know
Absolutely
if you
not.
can have them.
No, I know it would
aircon
be-
on though, can you?
But can you have those quiet ones? Is there such a thing? There's never a quiet one, is there? It's always
Every
just
time
like,
I have a voiceover, it always feels like it's very warm.
Yeah.
Like they can't have aircon on.
I know. How are you doing? You've come all the way into London for this.
I've come from. Should I say it like a local or say it like I say it? I come from Kettering.
How do the locals say it?
Kettering.
Kettering. Okay.
And every time I try and say Kettering, I feel like a fraud. I try and do it. My little boy does it.
So it's Kettering.
Yeah, and he says water.
He's changed. Don't tell Tom he says that.
Yeah, he says water and butter.
Oh, I kind of love it though.
Yeah, I know.
That's a cool little like character development for B1. I really like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really like that for him.
but maybe with B2, I will try and make her like.
A Victorian lady.
Yeah.
Which would be good actually, because Kettering suits a Victorian lady. What was that place you took me to? Like the abandoned fairground? What was that?
Kino.
Kino.
The Kino Lounge. The Kino Lounge is the most incredible place. It's like, I think it's an old cinema. It's really beautiful.
That's where we had breakfast.
Yeah.
But where was the place? We went to the park and there's like an old fairground. Like
Wicksteed.
Right, yeah.
Wicksteed, which is famous. We did take him to Alton Towers.
Yeah.
And he's only 5. It was his for his 5th birthday.
He's just 5, yeah.
Just turned 5. And we took him on the ghost train,
Right, okay.
which was an error.
So at 5, I was like, not only am I going to introduce him to roller coasters, but also death, I think. I'm going to...
It was the biggest error. He went in with Tom, and I was like, say hello to the little, ghost girl who's writing 2 + 2 on the chalkboard.
Oh my God, that's horrifying.
I was like, and then he went in, and I had...
So you now ruined school for him as well.
Yeah. It's changed in there now.
Sure.
It's not like...
It's an
not
actual
it used to
dead
be.
person.
It's like a quasar thing, but here's the thing with sounds and noises. Yeah, he doesn't like a hand dryer.
Oh,
so
yeah,
we
yeah,
thought it'd
yeah.
be a good idea for him to go into the ghost house, which is like... screaming, and he came out. Oh my God. I was waiting at the photograph bit, and I saw him bunched up inside Tom, and they came out streaming with tears. And my kid doesn't cry easily. Streaming, hyperventilating. It was so awful. Why did you let me go in there? It was awful. But I'm so sorry, because it's Tom.
Oh.
Tom is a brilliant father, and he's braver than me, so
Yeah.
I trust Tom.
Yeah.
And they went in together, and then that's what happened.
But did you get the photo? I'd be like, B1's first trauma on the fridge.
No, I'll tell you what,
You're
damn
like,
expensive.
but that's quite useful. I feel like I'm going to therapy and we're trying to unpack like things. He'll get to go to therapy one day with the photo, be like, this was it.
No,
This-
I didn't buy the photo, Hatty. It was too
I would have.
expensive.
Did you make it a keyring? So you can have it with you all the time.
I would have made it a mug if I could have given it to Tom and gone, I'm always right. Shouldn't have taken him on that kind of thing. Mummy knows best.
Oh.
Or Mummy is too overprotective. At that moment, I thought, I'm too overprotective. Let him go on the ghost train. He'll be fine. He was so not fine. There wasn't even time really to properly look at the photograph. It was complete and utter, like, devastation. If you asked him about it now, he'd tell you all about it, word for word,
my
exactly
God.
the same.
It's
The horror of
really
it all for
ingrained.
him. Oh yeah.
Good.
This is a kid that used to watch Jurassic Park at the age of 3. You know that bit
Yeah,
where the
I know.
T-Rex takes a guy off the loo?
He loved that bit.
He now hates it.
Right.
It now scares him.
Most of feeling his feels then.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's nice. I like that. We like a sensitive boy.
Oh, he's so sensitive. He's really beautifully sensitive.
I know.
But I never take him to playgrounds. Never take him to playgrounds.
Why?
Because I can't gauge the safety.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'm being overprotective. So I always let Tom take him to the playgrounds.
Okay.
Because I just feel like I'm definitely become a helicopter parent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want him to be braver.
Did you fall over a lot in playgrounds?
Hattie, I was a very chubby child.
So you didn't. You
I
couldn't.
I got stuck in a swing.
I'm not laughing. I'm just saying this must have been awful for you, as a child. No judgment, no laughter.
Hattie, I got stuck in a swing.
So actually, quite great for your parents because you couldn't fall off then.
No, I just
stay there for days.
In fact, where were they?
Right, do you have these moments? I was having this chat with my parents the other day. I was like, as a nanny, it makes you think a lot about your childhood. And I guess as a parent, same thing, you must start going back on your childhood. And you're going, there were so many experiences I have where I'm like, where was Mum?
Yeah.
Like, where was she? My favourite was the other day because I had the kids in the car and I was like, oh my God, my mum used to do the shop and leave us in the car. Like she'd park the car up to do the shop, leave us in the car. My mum did this though. She'd leave me, because I was the oldest, 3 of us in the car. She'd leave me in the car and give me £1 and be like, if you see a traffic warden, jump out and pop it in the machine. So she, not only did she leave 3 children in the car, she didn't want to pay the £1. She used us as like a guard dog. So guard the car and the children, but let's not pay £1 if we don't have to. So could you jump out the car, pay £1 a thing, stick the sticker on the window and then get back in? Like, unbelievable.
Yeah,
do the shop. What a genius, in total silence. Just do a shop by herself.
How old would you have been?
When it was just me and Archie, Maisie came along when I was nearly 9. So anywhere from like 7 and older. Saturday mornings, I remember me and the cat Buster would sit there, and I remember all the cartoons. I remember them vividly. It was an act of love in my head that Mummy let me sit down with Buster, have honey on toast, and watch all the cartoons I wanted on Saturday morning.
Babysitter.
Not a fucking sign of them. Not a fucking sign of them until like Live and Kicking came. Or not until after Live and Kicking, which is what, 11:30 p.m. They were hungover. They're like 100%. They were upstairs hanging out their arseholes, being babysit by a cat and whatever was on the telly. And you're like, it is unbelievable what they got away with. Like, if you turn around and were like, oh, I called you Saturday morning and be like, how you doing? Be like, B1 and B2 are downstairs with the dogs. And you'd be like, Beulah, what? Where are your children? Like, not a shot.
Actually, though, I do just fall asleep on the sofa sometimes with them.
I think that's fine.
With Peppa Pig in the background.
You're there. Oh, yeah.
Great content.
This actually segues us nicely because she snored. She snored coffee. Lydia, you're tired? No, I'm just snorting coffee. So obviously, as you well know, so the launch point of this podcast is that I'm in the middle of going through all my fertility stuff and trying for a baby alone. And the notion that on the surface, I think to a lot of people what I'm doing at my age, which isn't historically sort of bizarrely old enough for women to start having invasive help with getting pregnant, but also that I live the life I do and it's not the most stable, and I'm a female comedian, and that doesn't necessarily lend itself to children having, food and shoes. That actually what I'm doing seems bizarre to a lot of people, but I'm doing it knowing full well that it's absolutely the right for me, and I think the people who love me and know me know that it's the right thing for me. Do you have experiences throughout your life or moments or decisions that you made that have looked unhinged from the outside, but to you, you've been like, no, Lydia Rose-Bewley knows dead on this is the right thing for her, and you've been right?
Okay, yes, absolutely. So I would say, so basically, my husband and I, we had a break, but I hate that phrase. It was more than that. We broke up for over a year.
Was it? It was just over, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because we overlapped.
Yes.
So Lydia and I had our breakups 2 months apart.
We kept each other company.
We were, I think probably more than kept each other company. We were the most chaotic sidekick wingmen that
Also went to Florence. Fucked up Florence. Can you swear in this
It was,
podcast?
yes. We call it hurricane season. It was, the wheels came off. I would say for a year, the wheels came off. I mean, thank God we did it together. But
I never drank that much in my life.
no, never drunk and cried that much in a sustained period of time in my life.
Yeah, so much crying.
We did
Real
so
heartache.
much crying and laughed. Like, I have to say, do you need to balance that out? We laughed. I'd say maniacally, but we laughed a lot. So yeah, but it was just over a year, and then you and Tom obviously got back together. I didn't have that problem.
You just healed, and I just got progressively more heartbroken.
That was actually a really fun part of it. Is as I was like, do you know what? I fucking feeling myself. Lydia was like, I can't believe this isn't getting better. And I was it's like, tell you what, Lyd, like, I'm really like, this single thing. She was like, oh my God.
I even bought a dog, and it's not getting better.
Can I just... You didn't buy a dog. We bought a dog. It is important that I make this clear. It was one of those times, and I remember it so clearly. You'd been talking about getting a dog, and again, listen, we talked about it, and I was like, you know, in the middle of like our 11th bottle of rosé one night, we're like, absolutely, we should get it. Lydia, you have to have a dog. Lydia,
Like the best idea
you need a dog, Lydia. So we went to the farm where Lydia's from. And we again just got shit faced, and then I remember that evening being like, I'm gonna tell her I'm gonna get this dog, and you were texting this woman about this batch of puppies, and we bought a dog, and then the next day went and got gorgeous Pam.
I felt like I needed your permission.
I know because I make sensible decisions.
Yes, because you make sensible decisions. That's right. Yeah, but come on.
Hatty's a reasonable guy.
Yeah.
Hatty's a reasonable guy.
Hatty says it's a good idea, and it's got to be a good idea.
Hatty never does anything wrong.
I found my dog, didn't I? Found her. There she was.
It's one of the best days of my life when we found Pam.
I'm not joking when I say Pam was the best thing to come out of that breakup.
Yeah,
year.
100%.
She was, and also probably baby number one.
Yeah, for me, weight loss. Do you know how thin I was? Do you remember one night when I was just standing there and like had my skimpy knickers on and you were just running your fingers? I remember so clearly. I mean, we were shit-faced, but like running your fingers down my back going, there's so many ribs. And I was like, I know, look at her. Like, Lydia just going, but look at them. I was like, I know. I was so thin. And then you got two things born of actual love. So, sames really. Look how healthy and happy we both were that year.
Also, do you remember that you helped me pay for Pam?
Yeah, I remember helping you pay for Pam because we could only get so much money out from a bank account in one transaction.
Petrol station, didn't we? And then we took this little puppy.
Lydia, the fact that we paid for a puppy in cash should have been a flag.
I know, so bad, right?
That should have been a moment.
Yeah.
It wasn't, was it?
And it really smelled of piss in there, didn't it?
No, that wasn't a good house.
No. We took Pam from there. Actually, no, I had another one, didn't I? And then you said, no, this is Pam.
Yeah. There was that other funny one that, by the way, I again need to emphasise how close I came to buying that other puppy.
Oh, yes, you did.
Do you remember that little boy?
Yeah.
And he was just so naughty and just kept falling over and like doing it. And I was like, I love this. He felt like my spirit on a floor. Do you know what I mean? He was just like rolling around and like didn't know where he was going. And I was like, but even in my head, I mean, I was living at the Palace at the time, so with Rose, Robin and Fionn in my tiny single bedroom in like the 88th floor. And I was like, can you actually imagine? Even in my head at that time, I was like, if you turn up home with a puppy, they're going to push you out the window. Like they're actually going to have had enough.
Yeah, but I remember like trying to make you do it.
You absolutely did try and make me do it, yeah.
But I think you had that experience through Pam.
Yeah, we did. Well, do you remember what she said to us when this incredibly responsible woman who takes cash for puppies, when she said to us, she was like, now listen, whatever, just make sure she's only on dog food, only on doggy biscuits for the first little while, only on doggy biscuits, and we were like, yep, got it. So what do? Took her up a hill and gave her a saucer of tea and a pie.
That's not fair. It was a steak pie. At the Isaac Walton. I treated you well those days.
God, that was a good day. She was so good. We sat in a pub and had tea and pie.
She was so happy to be out of there.
She was so happy. Yes.
When I got my other dog, Lucy, she was not happy to leave. Like, she was shaking. She was very upset. Pam was happy.
Pam sang to us in the car. Do you remember? She was just like... all
she
the time
did.
sitting in my pocket.
But then when we were taking her home, she was panting, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Because
I think that's because
we'd
we'd
given
made
her
her walk
a
up a
salt
hill.
pie.
Yeah, we'd given her a salt pie.
And she hadn't had any water, so we had to stop
Because
at
we'd
the
given her
petrol station.
tea. Yeah, because we'd given her a cup of tea.
She still loves tea.
She was the best.
We took her to the petrol station, and then do you remember she drank all that water, like gasping for
I know,
it?
and we were like, it's a good first day for us, actually, with Pam.
I learnt a lot with Pam about the sort of mother I was
Going to be. How's that going?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know if it's the ADHD. Sometimes I have to it's lunchtime.
It's like your kids are on the floor, like.
As a nanny, I was really good.
Yeah, you always are with other people's kids.
Yeah, but as a mum, it's sometimes there has to be alarm sets. You know, just have to be better.
Yeah.
Have to be better. Every day I'm like, just be better, Lydia.
Someone said to me the other day, just to make you feel better, so I was talking to this woman about her kids, and she was saying, I was talking about the bedtime routine and just, getting them, what helps with good night's sleep and how to do it. And I was like, okay, so run me through your bedtime routine and bath time. And she ran me through it, and I was like, and bath time, when's bath in there? And she goes, oh no, we don't do bath time.
Because of the oils.
No, she goes, we probably do bath about once a week because she gets very overexcited. I was like,
oh dear.
You bath your child once a week?
Yeah, but that was me, Hatty.
Did you bath them once a week?
No, my parents bathed.
They did once
on
a week?
Sunday, you had the bath together.
But why were you a Victorian? Is my question to you.
Because we didn't have a shower. So
you had running water, yes?
Yeah, we had bee days. We had bee days. We washed our bits.
Shoot up your floof?
Yeah, we washed our bits in bee days.
But did the rest of you not itch? Were you stinky kids? Do you think you were a stinky kid?
No, my bottom was definitely not stinky.
Okay.
But it's possible somewhere else might have been. But I remember there being flannels.
Because you actually only washed your floof and your bottom. That's the best thing I've ever heard about you. That also makes sense of a lot more of you. Like, you grew up only washing your floof and your bottom, and the rest of it's like, it'll just work itself out. Like, that'll just work. Like,
it's not true.
That's fantastic.
I shower regularly. Now we have
I know
showers
you do
in our
now.
lives. We have showers in our lives, yeah. It was every Sunday before You Rang My Lord, which you won't remember.
Before who?
You Rang My Lord, which was part of that whole, Heidi High cast. It was this comedy.
This is actually, I've also realised that we segued. So we were talking about you on your break with Tom.
So there wasn't a lot of support for his breaking up. And then as the year went on, everyone, friends were like, no, that's the right thing. Blah, 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 and you've got to move on. You've got to do this, got to do that. And it got worse and worse and worse. You got better. Mm-hmm. And I was getting worse. And I was like, something's just not right here. All the advice that everyone was telling me blew my brain. Like, my elder brother would be like, Lyd, you just got to go through this. Like, I'm going through it. It's now month 10. I'm the one that did this and I'm still going through it. And then I thought, right, well, I'm going to go to Bali.
Yeah, I remember this.
I'm going to go to Bali and I'm going to find myself in Bali.
With all the Australian tourists as well.
Yeah. Which we all know is a bad idea because you cannot escape that pain. You just can't escape it. And Bali happened, which is another story. But Bali happened, I came back and still there. Just still there the whole time. And I went to Dubai because I had to stop off in Dubai. And my friend Ginny was like, why don't you just go see him? She says, why don't you just go see him? And it's almost like I needed permission from somebody to be like, why don't you just go and see him?
Were you in touch at all at the time?
It was absolutely useless breakup. The whole time.
Yeah, you were a bit. What? Yeah. No,
totally
I remember now.
Useless.
Yeah.
Even in Bali, I think we managed about 5 days in Bali, and I don't know if you want me to talk about this now. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Mix the unhinged with the hinged.
Oh yeah.
What turned out to be right, but basically came back, a couple of stop-starts, and then we get to June, and I had been seeing a psychic.
Again, no judgment. No judgment. This face, no judgment.
I saw this psychic and she was very good. Mm-hmm. And she had said, you just need to let each other go and see what happens, and synchronicity will happen. Or I was like, okay, I'll just let him go then. And so I managed it for 2 months, a proper letting go, not talking to each other and all of that. And then I was in Ealing because I'd chosen to move back to where he lived.
Just letting him go.
Because that house was beautiful.
It was,
though,
no, it
Hattie.
was a beautiful house. I did love that house. That
house was insane.
That was
in
after,
South Ealing.
that was with Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
It was a beautiful
brother.
house. Yeah.
And lovely Richard.
Yeah.
So, and Pam, of course.
And Pam, of
And
course.
Pam. And, you know, I missed Ealing. That's where we'd
Yeah.
been together. And so I avoided Ealing Broadway at all costs because I knew he'd be coming back from
Mm-hmm.
work. I was like, I must not see him. I will not see him. And then I just went to Coat Brasserie and got pissed midday, which was the thing I did at those times. Packet of cigarettes.
Mm-hmm. Pissed
glass
at
of
Coat
rosé.
Brasserie.
Pam in my dungarees.
No, I remember that. She used to sit in the little, yeah.
Awful. Like, it was really bad form of me. Pam should not have been in my dungarees. So there I was, sitting on the pavement at Coat. I wasn't wearing my glasses. I'm short-sighted. You know how it goes. And this guy starts walking over to me. It's midday, and it's Tom. And he didn't see me. He walked straight, flipping past me, which I'm working out is an issue with Tom. Like, I came down this morning, like, all dressed up, and I was like, hey. And he was like, love, B&B, they need this. I was like, excuse me, listen.
Excuse me, I'm
I'm
stunning.
like,
Hi, sorry, Giselle just walked in.
And I was like, come on, something. I'm not wearing black. Hello? No, didn't see. He did not see. He
Yeah.
didn't see me. And he walked past me and he looked really good. I was like, where's he going looking like that? Mm-hmm. That's not allowed. Mm-hmm. I'm
Agreed.
going to put a stop to this. But it hurt. It hurt so flipping much.
Yeah.
It hurt. I had Pam there and I just held Pam.
Yeah.
She was like on my heart centre and really cried. So much rosé.
Yeah.
So drunk. Midday. It was all gross.
God, it's a good look for you. I just love this.
I rang my friend Anne and Anne was like, it's meant to feel this way. I went, Anne, it's 13 months.
It is not.
She was like, it's she's like, love, it's bad, just let him go. I was like,
Hatty's neck deep in Toy Boys. It is not meant to feel this bad.
it was just getting worse.
It was. I remember it getting, because that's what I
got
couldn't.
worse.
There was a moment in that year where I realised the advice I was giving you wasn't the right one, and I'd been so clear on it. I was like, we've got to do this. We're better. We weren't being treated right, and this is for us. And da da da. And I remember watching you and being like, it's not the same story. We aren't living the same story. I was so well shot.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
knew
you really
from the off I was well shot, and it wasn't yours. That was not your story.
No, because my story was that I had been seeing the issues through the wrong lens.
Yeah.
And although I'm very pleased that we did have that break because I now know what life is like without him, and also Tom does too without me.
Yeah. And he wanted a dog, so
Oh man, I never forget the first time Pam met Tom, and like she ran up to him, and she still does this like crazy face licking thing with him, which is kind of gross.
Yeah.
But you know, it's very lovely. But anyway, she was right. The psychic was right. This moment happened, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. So I decided to get in touch with him in a really childish way, which was, you walked past me and ignored me.
I think aggression is the exact right way to reach out to an ex, personally. I think unbridled fury is exactly what they deserve after a year's break.
Why did I do that? It was such a dick move.
Because it's easier than being like, hey, I just kind of miss you. Being like, you're a dick, by the way.
God. Oh, God.
So.
Yeah. He's like, I didn't see you. I was like, oh, come on.
Oh, the drunk woman with Rose and a puppy outside Coat Brasserie. Oh, he didn't see me.
No, it's ridiculous that he didn't see me. The pavement was so
No, I
slim.
know the one you mean, because that's where we all went.
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah,
When
yeah,
we- yeah.
And so, yeah, but when I told people that we were getting back together, that was not good.
So people thought that was a bad decision.
People were worried
Why?
because they'd seen us both be so upset. You know,
Sure.
so, you know, and friends support you, don't they? They really, really support you through those times. And I had to be like, hey, I know I've really drained your resources.
But I'm
of
potentially
care
going
and
back
support.
round for round two. Yeah.
Going back again round two.
Like, Jesus Christ.
But you know what? My friend Anne,
Yeah.
who was a really good support. She said, "You're just so much happier." And I said, "Well, it's the honeymoon period, isn't it, of getting back together? So it is going to be like that. So we need to get really into the thick of it."
Yeah.
But it really was like a release.
But it wasn't honeymoon. I remember watching it, and I remember you telling me that it was happening back, and you'd had, you know, you went away for a bit, and he absolutely turned up ready to bat for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, he really turned up to get you back. And I remember being like, that's all what anyone can ask for. Yeah. Like, that's why we'd both had breakups in the first place, was a couple of boys stopped turning up to bat for us. Yeah. Now, yours worked it out and came back. Yeah. Mine, I mean, listen, was he banging down the door? No, not even an hour after the breakup. But listen, I have to believe that he had a minute. Like, actually, no, to be fair to him, he did wait 3.5 hours before going out with his co-star. So that was good of him.
How considerate of him.
Oh,
what a gentleman.
I remember, you were my first call after our breakup.
Carol.
After our breakup, I remember waking up the next day. I hadn't cried at all. I hadn't done a tear. Roisin had kind of realised it was happening because we were in Chester together, and we'd gone out for a gin, and I'd done it. I'd done it over the phone in the middle of a tech rehearsal. So in the middle of tech rehearsal in Chester, I'd called him. We'd broken up. I'd finished the rehearsal, gone to bed, woken up the next day. It was about 5 a.m. and I was awake. And I'd messaged you the night before, just being like, just so you know, we broke up tonight. And you called me. You called me at about 6 a.m. And I was like, and it was I remember being so calm. I remember lying in my bed in this beautiful part of the world that I was so happy in, doing this ridiculous show that I love so much, and looking out the window, and I just said to you, I was like, "Do you think I'm mad?" And you went, "No." I was like, "Do you think people will think I'm mad?" And you went, "No." And actually, they wouldn't have done if you'd broken up with him last year. And it was so minimal, and I just remember being like, that's all I needed to hear, was like, because there's something about your friends knowing you so well, and so watching your friends be concerned for you is really frightening. Like, it's a really frightening thing. And so especially for you getting back in it with Tom, to watch your friends be concerned for you it's frightening when you're still grappling with your own things. And by the way, you still were. Like, we were talking about it a lot, being like, is it, you know, am I absolutely sure? Like, even you knew, like, your gut and your soul and everything knew, but the head stuff, watching people go, okay. Like, it is scary.
It is scary.
Yeah.
You had that calmness.
Yeah.
And that was what I was a few weeks into, but I was crying.
Yeah, you were about 2 months ahead of me. Yeah.
So I was through and I was like, whoa, she's so calm. And I'm crying.
Yeah.
You know, it was good to see the difference and have that mirror.
How quickly do you think people stopped looking at you with concern?
What do you mean after we got back together?
That's when you got pregnant.
I mean... How long was it?
That was such a good one. It was so good. I remember that too. I remember you being like, we'd had that chat about you and Tom had gone away, and you're like, it's really great. It just feels really great. And then I was at work and I got a text message from you being like, I need to talk to you. And I was like, she's fucking pregnant.
Yeah, it was extraordinary that you knew that.
I know.
It was extraordinary.
But it was never going to be anything else. It was never going to be anything. You were never going to get back together and it not be everything. Do you know what I mean? You were never going to get back together and be like, we're going to try and go for a meal once a week. You were never going to do that. You were going to go back in, both of you, with everything.
I mean, it had to be like, look, Tom and I were not broken up for a year.
No, you weren't.
We saw each other probably every month, every 2 weeks. And every time we'd seen each other, not every time, but when it got into like 8 months, I was getting disappointed. There was this weird thing that was happening where I'd be disappointed that my period would come, which sounds like a messed up thing to say.
No, I remember. Yeah, I get it.
And I started to think, so I got to thinking.
Yeah. You're probably thinking, why is she so crazy? But it's Lydia Rose-Bewley, everybody.
I was like, what's going on here? Because I think way too much. But if I can streamline it down and look at what that natural instinct is, I was like, I want to have children with this chap. What's going on? And then that really changed my thinking. And then, you know, I lied about the dates. No, I'm joking.
Yeah. And then I slipped a hole in the condom and then presto, here we are. You know, no idea how it happened. No. I know.
No, we've been back together a couple of months.
Yeah.
And nobody knew. Well, you knew, but, you know, family didn't really know. And
So I'm pregnant, and it's Jesus and the Virgin Mary. I haven't been touched by a man in a year.
Which, by the way, happened to a crocodile. This is the segue. Okay, but
Okay.
you can erase this. But that happened to a crocodile.
Just
the
got
other day.
pregnant?
Yeah, it had a virgin birth.
I think that crocodile's full of shit.
No, it's possible.
That's
it
a
happens.
slut
Yeah.
crocodile.
No,
That's an embarrassed 14-year-old slut crocodile.
I'm really intellectual talking about this, but no, it's a thing. It's a thing. That animals can do that. So, you know, I don't think the baby lived though. It was just in the egg,
No,
and now they're looking at it. But anyway,
That animal's a lying whore.
but yeah, that was it. And then when Tom told his family about Together, we went up to see them to be like, "Hey, we're back together," and bam.
Yeah.
And I was really booby.
Yeah.
I knew Tom's mum. I could
Yeah.
tell, and then we just told them. So yeah, everyone took that news. Everyone gested really well.
Yeah,
It was like,
yeah.
first grandchild.
Yeah. Do you know what? This might be an awful decision, but I'm thrilled. I think this with my mum. So obviously, when I announced to her like that I was going to do it alone, I wrote a letter.
I think that's brilliant. Agree.
Yeah, because my thing in the letter was, I wanted to give her a minute to digest it without the onus of having to respond immediately to me in person. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I was so worried that she would say something out of like shock or surprise that would forever taint that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yes, of course.
all it would have taken, and she's not an unkind woman, she's amazing, but all it would have taken was for her to be like, oh, for God's sake, you know, give love a chance or something. And I would have been like, oh, do you know what I mean? Like, and I was like, I want you to have this letter, read this letter, digest this letter, call me when you want to talk about what we're doing here. Because again, there's that thing by Glennon Doyle, who actually books behind you, which I love so much, about the people who love you can actually shake you from your knowing the most. Kind of like what I was saying about, you know, when you were getting back with Tom, like those people who are your inner circle, when they look at you like, yeah, those are the only people actually who can make you go, I don't know, actually, yeah.
That's
And
so
I
true.
was so sure, and I had enough people around me like Tom, Rose, who knew about it and was so like, yes, of course, that's what you should be doing. That I was like, I can't actually have my parents get this wrong, really. I can't have you get it wrong because I don't know what it will do to all of this whole experience.
And I will say that it actually is none of their business.
It's a weird one. That's another thing the book says, that you become a responsible parent the moment you stop becoming an obedient daughter.
Yeah.
And isn't that mad?
I'm in it right now.
Yeah.
Yes, and interesting that we're finding that in our 30s.
Yeah.
Because a lot of my friends found that in their 20s.
That there has to almost be a boundary redrawn or a sort of chasm slightly built. Like, not a chasm, a moat slightly built between islands, being like, actually, this is my family now.
Yes.
Yes. That's tricky.
Yeah.
I think it's... Do you know what it is? I think for me going through, because there's actual treatment, there's actual invasive treatment, like where, you know, I'm now being jacked full of injections when I'm doing IUI being the turkey baster where they, you know, shove it up you.
Yeah.
That's not how that's not how they medically speak about it. They don't say shove it up you, but that's just how I use it.
I'm sure it would make you feel a lot more relaxed if they use
Shoot
language
it
like
up.
that.
Yeah, exactly. Just wang it up. But I think, so for mum, you know, not only is she knows that I'm about to go through all these injections and all these scans and all these things, and like picking the sperm, which is such a it's a non-emotional thing for a highly emotional factor. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're picking half of your baby, but you're treating it. You mean you're going through these catalogues and you're going through things. And what do I want? And this should be like this. And how about, do I need this? What's his genetic history? Like, you have to distance yourself from what should be, from when people fall in love, is an entirely emotional experience. For me, it's entirely cerebral, and yet the result is the same, which is there will be a baby born from it.
Yeah.
And I think for mum, that she's all of the fear, all of the panic about me and going through this is so completely outweighed by what you were just talking about, the having of a grandchild.
Yeah.
Like, that's the hilltop. Like, she'd be so excited. But I think it's hard for people, for our parents maybe, to, I mean, that is the hilltop. And I mean, you've got the same, like, both sets of grandparents would be, one and be two, are elated to have them and are unbelievable grandparents, as mine will be. But it's the process there that I think stresses them out. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, for instance, for your lot, staring and being like, oh God, I hope these two are fine. I hope these two are fine. I hope this relationship is fine and wonderful and excellent. so that I can be so excited about the grandchild. I think putting mum through this thing repeatedly of like, I'm trying. Oh, it hasn't worked. I'm trying. Oh, it hasn't worked is killing her, because not for her, but for me, she can't, I feel like I'm unsafe, and she hates it. She hates watching me be unsafe.
Unsafe with what?
Well, not unsafe as in unsafe behaviour, but I have no respite on, like, the thing I want isn't happening. Like, I've done IUI 4 times, I'll do IVF next, which again, I'm actually not stressed about. I'm not upset or nervous about. I'm fully optimistic and I'm really excited, but I think she would so much rather she could do something. I think she would rather she could just make it happen, click her fingers, and it was all there. She doesn't want to see me go through something that's up and down and that isn't assured and it isn't stable. Yeah. I think that's probably why they are like that.
Love of a mother is so intense and so strong that it can hold you back.
As a daughter.
I
think that. And I don't, and again, that's with no disrespect to our mothers, but you do every now and again. I had to say to her the other day, we had a bit of a come to Jesus, and I was like, you raised a good girl and I need you to trust the woman.
Oh,
thank you very much.
Did you make that up?
I know, in the spot, unbelievable. And I was angry, and I usually can't even think when I'm angry.
I'm going to put that on a t-shirt.
I'm going to say, you raised a good girl, trust the woman.
And a bumper sticker or a mug.
But it was that she was like, no. It was like her kind of. It was like when she tried to teach me to drive, and she had to stop because she just held onto the like.
Your mum taught you to drive.
Well, she only did one day because she couldn't earn after that. She was like gripping the door handle, being like, oh my god, let's just brake. It was like just being like, okay, do you know what? Let's just sit still. Like the idea of me propelling myself into a fear that is in any way unsafe or could potentially hurt me physically or emotionally. She's like, do you know what? Let's just lock the doors. Let's just lock the doors and not move.
Yeah, let's just not.
Yeah, let's not go anywhere.
Yes. Have you thought about this?
Yeah.
Seeing as your friends are your family.
Yeah.
Have you considered just not telling them?
My friends or my parents?
Your parents.
I did. I considered not telling my parents, and I was going to announce it when I was pregnant.
Yes.
Tom, not your husband, our best mate, it was him who was like, I support you. And Tom had been there since day when he came to all, the appointments. He was waiting for me afterwards. He was like, I think when you turn around and tell your mum that you're pregnant, what she will hear is that you've kept this from her.
Okay.
And he was like, I actually think that this moment that you've envisaged about it being like, will be slightly soiled by how she will take that. And he wasn't wrong. I think she would have been. I think
the mother-daughter relationship is so complex, isn't it? 'Cause it's just like, but I often find this with moments like I'm trying to do good by you. Yeah. By not telling you about these things. Yeah. And it will backfire. So let's fast forward. And this is B2 in a few years. Your little daughter, my godchild, and would you want to know everything? What she's going through, what her life is, all her like anxieties, or actually, would it kind of chew you up? I want to be braver as a mum.
Yeah. I
want to know everything.
But are you able to distinguish between wanting to know everything and understanding that actually that might not be good for either of you?
I don't want her to ever feel like there's something she can't tell me, because she just sees me as this role as a mum. Mm-hmm. So I just see my mum as a role as a mum. Mm-hmm. And actually she had this whole life before me. Yeah. This whole lived experience, as you the phrase. And so I have before B2. Yeah. And so that's the only way, once she gets into teenage years, that you can connect with your daughter, is by being like, no, darling, I'm not just your mum. I'm a human being who had a life before this, has got experience, and I can help you if ever you need it. Yeah. It's funny because my mum, same thing, and I know she wants to be there for it all and be someone who I go to. Mum got with dad at 19. Like, and how old were yours when they got together? It was late that time. It was late in those days. 24.
Oh yeah, nearly dead. But that's the thing. Like, they got together at 19. Now they also had a break when they were 28, 29. But in terms of watching me navigate the world as a single woman, and very single, I had my 2 big relationships, but the rest of the time I've been very single. She actually doesn't have a context for it. She doesn't have a point of reference. So half the times when she's giving advice, I'm like, you what?
Yes, of course.
You're like, it's like having like a chicken explain to someone how to be a dolphin. You know, you're like, but what? You don't even live in the ocean. Like, it's so wild, and I know it's coming from love, but every now and again, you just have to be like, you've never been 35 and single, and not just single, but independent and self-sufficient, and doing a career that is a very singular lone wolfing career. Yeah. There's never, so it's almost, you're having to sort of temper everything with like, but that was for you. Yeah. You can't.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see what B2 does, because I think you have a massive lived experience, and especially as an artist and all the, you know, jobs you've done, work you've done, the way, you know, traveled, all the, like, but it wouldn't be mad. B2 turns around, she's like 22, she's like, I'm gonna go be a scientist in a lab, and you'd be like, actually, I did play one. No, I actually did play one. I did play one, so I can tell you my experiences of being a female scientist.
Oh, the science. Yes, I know the science.
Do you have that lovely coat? Had that lovely coat. I had a lovely coat. Like, it will be.
Oh, God.
I hope we have the wherewithal to know our lackings. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know if we will.
If you ever watch, sorry to segue, if you ever watch Code of the Killer,
I watched it. I loved it.
You can see me in the background with all like this blue liquid and like
going.
What are those things called? The centrifuge thing.
Oh yeah.
Going. Looking like I know what I do.
Lydia Rose-Bewley, I watched Code of a Killer, and I thought you were absolutely stupendous. I didn't see you faffing around like Sesame Street in the back with like...
Just going...
Do you know what's so nice is knowing you, I know in your head you'd be going, scientist girl, being...
No.
Being a scientist girl, being a scientist girl, Lydia scientist.
Is that my cue?
Being a scientist, science. Like,
I've seen John Sim just being like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing all this stuff. And it's like, that was the time when I looked at acting. I was like, acting is so silly. Because on a comedy set, real segue here, on a comedy set, you look at things like that because you're always laughing, and now I'm on like a drama show. I'm so
sorry, I did that wrong. Scientist girl, being a scientist with my goggles, scientist girl.
I'm a serious actor now. I'm playing a scientist.
You were so good in that, but I think that's generally how, because of how you are with all roles, like it always comes from a place where you have to understand them. Like you yourself, Lydia, has to understand the characters, so it always comes from a place of being so natural and so easy to watch. But I just remember looking at it, watching it and being like, as she's got a song in her head. 100% there's a song in it.
Scientist girl. I'm in an ITV drama.
I hope the next one's a corset. Yeah. My agent's going to be so pleased.
No, do you know, I was thinking, I'm finally in a period drama, just not wearing a corset. It was set in the 80s. They called it a period drama.
Well, it was a period drama, and then it teed you up for Persuasion. So just, 5 years later, any minute now.
Just unfortunately.
Finally got your corset, and we're pregnant again. I cannot. Lydia, since I have known her, has been like, I just want to be in a corset. All I want to be is in a corset. I just want to be in a corset. Like you were like Mole Flanders. Like you are like.
That role coming?
When's that role coming?
Yeah.
But all she was being in a corset with her hair down and her beautiful English skin. Like, and then he got it. And I remember being like, I've got it. Pregs McGee.
Yeah.
Pregs McGee. So they couldn't even pull the corset, could they?
Yeah, I was actually pregnant during the recall. They couldn't. No, they did pull the corset.
Oh, did it?
But they did a pregnancy corset.
Oh, so it doesn't go over the...
Insane, yeah.
Jeez.
And then I popped right at the end of the shoot with them in the wedding scene. And I was like, oh, God, you can tell I'm really pregnant.
Yeah.
How did we get into this one?
No, but it's great. Because we rambled.
I sagged.
We sagged, but also, this kind of does seg into... So that was your Unhinged, but that worked out.
Yes.
That was your Unhinged that was absolutely the right thing to do. We all know it was the right thing to do.
We've been married now for... 2 years in the eyes of God.
Yes.
1 year in the eyes of our friends.
Sure.
We had, I think, our big do, which we had cancelled because of COVID. We had at the farm June 11th last year. So that's just happened, the anniversary of that. So we've been together. I always say we've loved each other for 10 years. But yes, we did have a break for a year. But the point being, it was the first time, real first time that I properly listened to myself. And had to put aside and away all the opinions of everybody else, whose fear was like, "Oh, you're gonna hurt again," or you never go back. Silly things like that. Like
people are so weird at projecting, aren't they?
Well, I remember a very close friend of mine saying, "Are you sure this is right?" And being like, "No, don't you understand? This is ROCD stuff here. Yeah. don't you understand? Nothing. You can't be certain or sure about anything. I only have now.
Yeah.
And right now, this is the right thing for me. It feels so goddamn right. I didn't know if it was going to be like honeymoon period and then,
Yeah.
you know, things aren't always easy. Of course, COVID happened, children.
Yeah.
But it was like, no. I mean, like, if we want to like do the sort of like nod to the title of the podcast, it wasn't Unhinged.
No.
Although I could see how people thought it was.
What are the things you've done, do you think, where people have been like, Lydia Bob's, you're Unhinged, and it was? Like, when they've called it and they've been right.
Okay, so... Let me just burp down the mic. I tried to do that thing where I was like...
No, fuck, I'm just going to let it go. Being some classy ladies, being classy girls in a podcast room.
Being a podcaster.
Being a serious podcaster.
Who's that guy off Dragon's Den? He's like, he's all over my YouTube.
Stephen Bartlett.
Is that who it is?
Diary of a CEO.
And everything's like, I'm really serious.
And he's really weirdly earnest,
And
but it never feels earnest at
it's
all.
that voice and everyone like ends up
Mixed race
crying.
guy.
Yeah.
So handsome, and yeah, but it's him.
Yeah, okay.
He's got a podcast as well.
Yeah, I know.
I bet he doesn't have serious podcast song in his head all the time.
No.
He's not sitting there being like, serious podcaster, serious.
He hasn't got imposter syndrome.
No.
Oh, I'm sure he's got some episodes on it. Anyway, yeah, so... Yes, so I made a decision when I was 14. Was I 15? To stay a virgin until I got married.
Fantastic.
That was my decision.
Now, was that born of church or born of just like a book you read one time?
I watched...
Oh, here we go. Yeah, I was going to say there was no way there was anything more than this one time I saw this thing. Yeah.
I watched a Silver Ring Thing documentary. You heard of that? And it was about very, very religious people. Sorry. Baby brain. And that is a fucking thing, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
In America, how they would swear to God that they wouldn't have sex until they were married. And then they would wear a silver ring.
The promise ring.
Yeah, and I was like, that's it. That's the answer. Nobody fancies me. Everybody else is like doing stuff at the age of 14.
I know.
That was real shock. At the age of even 13, 14, when I was at convent school, I was never the girl that got the rose at Valentine's Day. Nothing like that happened for me. I was just innocent until I read Forever by Judy Blume. I don't know if you've ever read that book, but oh my God. They need to make a
Isn't
film
Judy
like
Blume
that
also God, It's Me, Margaret?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. So
well, that's why I learned how to make my tits bigger. We must increase our bust. I'm still an A. So she's a liar. Judy Blume lied to me hard. Yeah.
I would like to experience what it's like to be an A.
One day, Lydia, I'll switch with you. The only way these could get smaller is if someone punched them out the back. Like, honestly, we just fantastic.
Anyway,
so Judy Blume.
And so nobody fancied me. So I honestly, I'm not entirely sure why I came to this decision, but I was like, I'm just gonna stay a virgin until I get married. I was completely and utterly obsessed with Jane Austen, The Pride and Prejudice, the BBC one, Colin Firth, 1996 one.
Oh, obviously, we all are. Yeah.
Just obsessed.
That ran in my head most days. Just Jennifer Ealy and Colin Firth live in there rent-free forever.
I mean, unbelievable. Totally obsessed. So my 11-year-old self was obsessed with that, watched it. I'm not joking, probably 1,000 times on VHS. So much watching of that. And so I think I created this story in my head, which was, number one, I can only ever be with somebody if there's like a fallout. So every time I fancied somebody, I'd be like, I'm going to create drama.
Lydia!
Thank you, Jane Austen.
I do the same thing. Where if you haven't bled for it, it's not real. Yeah. If you haven't like sweated, cried, screamed and dragged yourself through the mud for it, it can't be trusted.
Right. So we can thank Jane Austen for
this
we can. And other people. So there's always a drama. So if ever I fancied anybody, I would be, I mean, a lot of people say this, but I would be a dick. Or I'd be like, I would like try and create...
Just like throw yourself in front of their car when they were pulling out. Yeah. Oh! You can't believe you! We met when he hit me with a car.
Yeah, can you feel the tension?
That
tension must mean that there's love here.
100%.
Yeah. So guys didn't fancy me. They just didn't. And nobody did. And I just didn't have that experience. So I just became really obsessed with people. And then I would make myself like things that they like. Like one guy called Andy at Oakham. I got myself into candy clubbing for him.
What on earth is candy clubbing?
Candy clubbing is like Postman Pat theme tune. Oh no, that's the Alton Towers theme tune. It's like happy hardcore, like bright, like neon clothing, lots of like dog collar stuff. Like I like completely went for it.
Gosh.
Because I fancied him. But then I would be like a bit of like a shirty knob to him at school because I wanted to create some sort of like Jane Austen, Colin Firth,
Conflict.
Mr. Darcy, like, oh yeah, you are pride.
God, you had to work through my defences and
P&P.
both. Okay,
P&P.
both with P&P. Here we go.
So created this story, and then I think to protect myself, I was like, no, I'm gonna stay a virgin until I get married. I'm gonna wait for like one guy, and it's gonna
Did
be.
you get a ring?
It's gonna be, yeah.
Oh, good.
Not the official, but I did wear
just
one.
Found it.
But it was nice to have that excuse, Then I went to Oakham and learned that everybody had sexual experiences way earlier than my 14 years of age. Felt an incredible pressure. Just sort of like sat in this story that I told myself, which is I'm going to be a virgin. It doesn't matter because I'm going to be a virgin until I get married. And I got older and older and older and older and older and older and older. And then, I won't say the age, but I got like past 25. And I remember my best friend, Al, ex-Felton, and he was saying to me, darling, you've just got to get banged. You've just got to do it. It's getting ridiculous. He was like talking about, we were in Wales at the time, North Wales. And he was doing a play, and I was just like, no, that's not what I want. And I'd written this like script and this list of perfect, like, this is how it has to be. Has to be like this. And if it's not going to be like this, I don't want to know. Because this is my list. And if you don't add up to my list, if you're not that, then I don't want to know. And that's how the ROCD comes into it. So,
by the way, to context, ROCD is relationship
OCD.
Yeah.
Self-diagnosed. Not. I wasn't then. I got it diagnosed. But that's the work I had to do on myself in our breakup. So when Tom was the first person I met. I'm not joking. Where there was no drama. There was no trying to pretend to be like him. There was no wearing copper jewellery because he wore copper jewellery. Which I did.
Hey, listen, you would suit copper jewellery, got perfect colouring for copper jewellery. Don't talk yourself out of that.
It's crazy how quickly, if I decided to fancy somebody, and I'm talking about decided to fancy somebody, I'd like to start it. I'd start the campaign. Right? So the campaign would be, he's wearing copper jewellery. Copper jewellery. So this is crazy stuff. So when I met Tom, I thought there was something wrong because I didn't want to do all of that.
So you doubted it from the off?
Because I was comfortable in myself. Which is just bonkers.
But also, and it's really irritating, I'm not saying this at you, how that is ever, like, that's always what people who are with their people who are with their person, that's what they say. All the friendships in my life who are with their person always say that. One of my absolute best friend in the world, when she described meeting her now husband, and she wouldn't let me put this in the service, but I thought it was so beautiful. She was like, honestly, Harriet, it was so easy, it was actually almost boring.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, and I remember thinking, nope, no idea what you're talking about. Like, I have never, ever been with anyone who it wasn't just fear and panic and terror and uncertainty and lack of safety from the off. And I've been like, it's chemistry. Here she is. Chemistry's back. Oh, it's the butterflies. It's because I'm in love. And you're like, no, this is blind terror. Blind, absolute terror. And your gut is being like, no, get out. And I'm like, oh, guess she loves him. It is unbelievable. And then when I watch people meeting their people and they're all like, I just drifted into it. Just sort of like, oh.
And then I started to pick apart and look for the drama. How can I create the drama?
Of course.
How can I do this? Actually, there was drama.
Yeah, there was.
But I know that the breakup year then gave me the chance to see what I had and what I had let go of, and vice versa. But I would say it wasn't a bad decision because it was foolish to say I'm going to wait until I get married. That to lock myself into that, and I did because I had chances and opportunities, but I locked myself into that. And then the older I got, the more I actually started to become embarrassed instead of proud about it. So it wasn't even like a decision that I owned. It was like a dirty secret, which I don't. I'm It's not like I sit here and go, I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud.
But
it
I
wasn't
think,
like that.
but it's also a safety thing because I mean, as you well know, when I came back from Chicago, and I'd had not even a relationship, but we'll call it a relationship for the sake of it, which had ended in me discovering just how much of a pathological liar this particular person was, and that I had been sort of absolutely blindsided by a few bits of information and things that happened. And I just went into what I would have called then, and what I said to all of you and everyone, was an empowered space of relationships aren't for me. I was like, look, I even tried. I remember coming back, like, listen, I did what you all said, and I even tried with this one. I even tried to give him the benefit of the doubt and believe that maybe he deserved a chance and believe that maybe, you know, this guy was great. And look what happened. And it, to me, again, going back to the story we tell ourselves, the story I told myself after that was, that's fine, Hat, relationships just aren't for you. They're just not for you. You've tried them enough times. We've given it enough goes. They're just not for you. And actually, look how fucking powerful you are single. Look how much you can do single. Look at what you've done single. And there was a lot of like things that I could point to and be like, I'm not pathetic single. I'm not weak single. So maybe that's the person you're meant to be. And you'll go through life and you'll have these wonderful relationships with sexy boys all over the world. And because I love sex, like as you well know, like I love it. I've always loved it. I've loved it with all the partners I've had. I have no bad associations with it. So I was like, well, maybe that's your life then. You just get to enjoy it, but you never keep them. You never keep them because that actually isn't good for you. Then that's not you at your best. And it's now what all I know now, my friends were sitting there being like, okay, like, I guess you just need to sit in this for a little while. Like that, they kind of all went, yeah, okay, all right. But it's not the empowered story we've told ourselves. It's the defense mechanism that makes a reality bearable. It's the defense mechanism that makes you being someone who boys didn't want in your teenage years manageable. It's what made me being like someone who had no right lying to me like that always accept manageable, because you're like, I'm now in control of it somehow. You sitting there with a ring on your finger being like, I'm deciding to not have sex before marriage means that it's irrelevant that no one else wants to. Or at least that's what you're seeing, because you've taken charge of the ship.
But the issue is that I gave myself a label that wasn't I didn't even know.
Wasn't authentic.
Couldn't even own it.
No.
It was bizarre.
Because also knowing you, like, you're such a romantic and you so love touch and like closeness and affection and intimacy, that actually what you will have deprived yourself of is so much greater than the power you took back. It's fascinating, isn't it? Do you think we'll be good with our girls about this? Like when we have all these daughters, like, do you think we'll be good at this stuff, or will we revert back to what our mums would do? She's like, no, darling, don't touch anyone. Like,
listen, my mum.
No, boys don't like sluts. Like, I remember my mum said to me recently, she's like, look, men just don't like women who've been with all these men. I was like, well, I think we're a couple of tube stops past that station now. Like,
I really genuinely believe that Bridget should be on this podcast.
I think it will be the end of our relationship.
I disagree.
Can you imagine? Do you think I'd find stuff out about her, or do you think vice versa? She'd just be like...
I mean, it would just make for fascinating material.
The ladylike thing. I tell you what, I could bin. What's going in my room 101? Is room 101? Is that what they call it?
Room 101.
Is the ladylike word. Ladylike word is going in my room 101.
Along with flattering.
That's
all. Yeah, that's really flattering.
That's really flattering on you. Gosh, that's very flattering. Did your mum do flattering?
Everyone does flattering. It's gross. It's so like, so underpinned with so much.
Do you think, so again, I'll get maybe to like round this all off. I know we're not going to, we've talked about the reason my sort of story that I told myself changed. The reason you told your story about yourself changed was ultimately how men were reacting to us when we were growing up. Like about how boys were reacting to us. Do you count yourself a late bloomer?
Yeah. Very late.
Same.
Very, very late.
I think I see the virginity stuff so fascinating. I was 19 when I lost mine, and I felt so late. I felt like I was the last virgin in the village. Listen, I went to an all-girls private day school in West London, so I basically was. I went to a school of very, very, very well-educated sluts. And God bless them all, God bless them, God bless the tails. I'm sure they're all very happy with their charming boyfriends and children now. But my God, do these teenagers have pasts. And I was so late, and I am elated, and I still mean it, at how I lost my virginity. Like I think it's why I have such a good relationship with sex. I'd waited. I loved the person I had lost it with. He was unbelievable with me. We were together for 3.5 years afterwards. I had pure love when I lost my virginity. And I know you did as well. But do you think the lead up to it, the lead up to like all the rejection and people not finding you attractive and you viewing yourself through the gaze of boys who have no idea what's going on, who don't know themselves, who don't know about the world, who will like, do you think you've still got hangovers of it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Which is crazy because I don't want to be with anybody else other than my husband.
Yeah.
And yet those things follow you around. Which is, I mean, it was a lot. It was a good old time. Like, I'm not gonna say exact age, but it was like I was past my mid to late 20s. Yeah. You know, when I lost my virginity.
But I know a lot of people like this. Like one of my, I mean, you know her, Katie, who actually is going to be coming on the podcast. She had a massive like hang up about how late she was. Hers wasn't like yours. She actually was Christian. She didn't just watch other people be Christian and then decide that.
Oh right, okay.
Like,
but, that makes it easier though. That makes
I know
it so
because
much
God's
easier.
told you to. Do you remember when I was with the South African?
Yes, yeah. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. So God told him he couldn't either.
Yes.
God did also tell him he could do everything else. And I was like, I don't know. Listen, I'm not totally up on my verses, but I'm pretty sure God didn't mean that.
That's my favourite.
Like, God let him do everything else, just not D and the V. And I was like, I don't know, my guy. Like, God feels flaky. Like, this feels, God feels like he needs to make his mind up. South African God sounds like he needs to chat with himself.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Flaky God.
Flaky South African God. But, yeah.
What was I?
No, we were saying about, like, losing it late and the God thing. And, yeah.
Yeah, so listen, I was always very jealous of girls, who I was talking to about this, who had that excuse.
Yeah.
So I would say to people, I'm not even Christian. I don't know. I don't know why this has happened. I just don't know.
Jane Austen wants me to.
Yes, but
It's now been decreed.
Jane Austen, who I don't know, maybe she did, maybe she didn't, but as far as I know, didn't have a relationship. Like I was crazy that I locked myself into this story.
I know.
For so long, and then it affected so much of my life. And I don't regret it. Like I don't, because I'm going to be honest with you, the people who I could have done that with, that I would have felt gross.
Oh yeah.
The next day. No, just no. But also, I find it very difficult to say no. So I think it's a really good thing.
I think it's an unbelievable thing that you've had that, because I mean, I know, and I'm someone who hasn't really got a problem saying no, but even I know my 20s, I'd say most people I slept with in my 20s was basically out of politeness, because you've like, and I don't mean this, like they weren't bad boys, whatever, but like with the exception of my 2 relationships, if you're out at uni or out on a night or like whatever, like if you've been snogging all night in a club, like I remember this mindset being like, well, you can't not now. Like you've been kissing him all night, so
you're gonna have
you have led him on actually. Like you have to have him back.
Yeah.
And I remember like getting these perfectly sweet but desperately underwhelming boys back to my university house and being like, okay, like, and it was like I'd eye rolled myself into bed. Like it wasn't this sort of which is why I'm very pleased that my formative sexual experiences, like my first and then my second boyfriend afterwards, like were so brilliant, because it's why I've got a good relationship to it. But the in betweens, like, okay, I guess, I could do that. I haven't got an early seminar, so you could come back. That it was that.
Yeah. So I had to say no.
Yeah.
Over and over. Oh, over and over again. So many offers.
Guys, stop being obsessed with me. You're obsessed with me. Have you ever found, okay, so we'll wrap this up. Obviously you have a certain profile because of your acting, and I've been with you, and I sometimes forget, I think because In-Betweeners was so massive and Plebs was massive. Yeah. I sometimes forget. I do it the same with all of you. Like we forget with Poppy sometimes that the Harry Potter fans are out there, and you kind of just forget. And I definitely do with you. But so I know the profile you have in this country. Has it ever, like for instance, straight off the In-Betweeners or straight off Plebs, have you ever had the like male attention suddenly noticing like a surge in it, or men reacting differently to you?
Hatty.
Because both those roles were very sexy roles.
Listen to me. When the In-Betweeners came out, that was the first time I'd ever taken my clothes off in front of anyone was on the fucking In-Betweeners movie.
I know.
That was the first time I'd
On
ever
a beach
done that.
in front of cast and
I'm
crew.
talking like, not like, oh, I'm in a dark room. Oh, I'm going to take my clothes off. Okay, I'm going to jump into bed. It's like, no, I had to do like full, hey, I'm here.
Unreal knowing that about you, because
Yeah.
you are not just stunning in that, but you're so confident in it. Like that whole scene when you're on the beach in your underwear, you're so confident. And obviously I know you weren't.
Yeah, no, I was pissed.
Did you get drunk?
No, look, I'd had two shots of vodka.
Yeah.
Because I was totally overwhelmed because of like that act, just like standing in front and you know, but I'm acting.
Yeah.
That's why I'm an actor. I was acting and I loved that character and all of that. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but yeah, as me, I was like, I'll just take a couple of shots of vodka to get through this. But afterwards, when the film came out, yeah, sure, but really sexual attention.
Yeah.
Because red hair, boobs, bum, all this stuff.
yeah.
I was like, none of you are fucking Mr. Darcy, though. I want to be Mr.
Yeah.
Darcy, you know?
Yeah.
He doesn't exist. So once I was on IMDb, and I don't read anything about myself anymore
Yeah.
because of this, and it's hilarious. And it was a comment, people used to comment at the bottom of IMDb, and it said, is it wrong, but I think she's fit?
Is it wrong?
Is it wrong, but I think she's fit? And I read that, and it didn't hurt. Now, I know I'm remembering it. I'm remembering it because it's just so crap.
It's so crap.
It's just so
Is it wrong?
wrong. And I would say I could have easily made that the story of my life.
Yeah.
I'm that girl that's like, oh, I get it a
People
lot.
find you fit in spite of yourself, in spite of themselves.
Yes.
It's outrageous.
Yeah.
It is so wild to me that I remember, like, when you first met Roche and that. Roche still, she's just like, God, she's the most beautiful one I've ever seen. Like, all my friends are always just like, she's the most beautiful one I've ever seen. It's still wild to me that these comments are out there and that they don't know there's a... I mean, we say it, all people with any kind of profile say, like, they don't realise there's a human being on the end of it. But they also don't realise the stages of our life that we're reading these. Like, I brought up with you, you know, when I left the Royals, the way Twitter differentiated between me and the actress who took over from me was old Maribel and hot Maribel. And I'm sure that was easy. That was shorthand for people on Twitter. It was just easy to be like, old Maribel and hot Maribel, because she was a supermodel who took my role. A supermodel took my role. But I remember being like, yeah, except I'm a 26-year-old now out of work actress and waitress. Like, you talk about kicking a dog when she's down. It's...
I mean, you can choose to keep this one or not because we're just loving on each other.
Yeah.
But you're so hot. You're so fit and you never see yourself that way. And so, but then, Hattie, maybe that's why you're so attractive.
But I think neither of us do. And again, I'm asked, like, I don't think either of us will ever really, when someone goes, God, says, God, you're beautiful, be like, thank you, I am. You'll go, thank you very much, that's very kind of you. Just to stop the moment, to get the moment to stop.
Here's the thing, I tend to get, like, I've had 2 children now, like, my body's very different. I'm, like, sort of acclimatizing to that. So it's been a while, but they tend to be really sexual stuff with me. Like, if you look at my DMs on Instagram, it's just, like, really, like, you know, it's, like, heavy laden stuff. So I just don't read it.
Yeah.
But the important thing is I don't believe it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's because I'm married or, you know, I just don't read it.
Yeah.
And same for you. Shouldn't read it. Don't read anything. But what I would say, just to sort of, like, bring this, you know, you were asking me about sharks in the dating world. This whole story of not understanding when somebody found me attractive would always get me into trouble. Like, I wouldn't realise I was in a situation where somebody fancied me.
Yeah.
I genuinely, honestly wouldn't realise
it.
No. And I would get myself into really awful situations and then realise, oh shit, I've led them on.
Yeah.
Because I'm just being that, hey, nobody finds me attractive, so hey. But really, they thought that I fancied them. And then I was stuck in a situation where I had to get myself out of it.
Yeah.
And that was this internal story.
Yeah.
Which isn't there anymore, obviously. I'm married.
No. It's funny, isn't it? Because I think when we get into the relationship, when women get into the relationship that is their relationship, their one, you know, their sort of, fingers crossed, touch word, final one, the relief of not being in the dating pool is sizable because of all these experiences. There's this relief of like, oh, thank God, I don't have to sit opposite a fucking estate agent and act like he's interesting again. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're like, God. Whereas the boys get into these and they're suddenly like, I wonder if I was out there, how I'd be doing. And where we sit there like, I know exactly how I'd be doing. It would be very bad and I'd be drunk buying a dog and I'd have 11 Prosecco's outside Co-Brasserie. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we just have this, like, even if we're still window shopping, even if someone walks past you and then you're like, oh God, yeah, you're still like, but I know the reality of it. I remember viscerally the reality of that. Whereas boys get into these and they're suddenly like, maybe single wasn't so crap. And you're like, you're out of your mind.
Do you know, just can I say to you, but you talking about window shopping, the other day Tom and I were watching something and Tom went, she looks fun. I went, oh, does she?
Fun.
So it's become like a thing now. And I'm like, does she look fun, Tom? She looks really fun, doesn't she?
It's good because it's not even hard. It's not even hard. He just said, she looks fun. And you were like...
And I was like, yeah, she looks really fucking fun, doesn't she? Really fucking fun. And so much more fun than I look right now. And my equivalent.
Is this why you're wearing a big jazzy dress? You're like, I'm gonna wear my fun dress.
I'm so fun.
Look, Tom, look how fun my dress is. Look, Tom, I've got the zany joy with a B on it. Look how fun I am.
It's because I said to him, like, am I fun? Am I fun right now? But my equivalent, you talk about window shopping, right? Was we were watching Lord of the Rings, Return of the
I know
King.
where this is going. Oh, God.
And Viggo Mortensen is giving his big speech. Like, oh, God, it just came out. Like, God, he's so noble. And Tom just went, fuck off, noble. It's like,
I love the idea that you two are both lying in bed, like, individually dreaming about your respective fun and noble people.
He's so noble.
Lydia's just like, God, he's fucking noble. The two of you are so made for each other. It's just ridiculous. Like, Tom,
I think it's the fact that
God, he's noble. Tom's like, God, she's fun.
I'll never forget when I was watching. Do you know Leveson Wood? The travel guy. Oh my God. I was watching a program with him. He's like very rugged.
Oh, okay.
Sort of tanned,
yeah.
brown hair, all this stuff. Wears lots of scars around his head
course
because
he
he's in
does,
Egypt. And Tom walked in and he just stopped and he went, who's that fucking man? And I went, it's Leveson Wood, Tom. He's like, fuck him. Look at that fucking man off the screen. Because Tom's there.
You were just like slipping off the sofa. Get that off my television.
Who's that fucking man?
I think I want to round this episode up. Actually, talking about things on TV. Lydia and I once sat B1, her son down, and put on an episode of The Royals. B1 sat there in between us. We put on an episode of The Royals just to be like, just see what fun, because he calls me Uncle Hatty. So let's see what Uncle Hatty and Mummy would do. And he put it on and he put his hands over his ears and started screaming, going, no, I hate this. No, turn it off. No.
I think that's when this stuff is sound starts.
We were like, well, it's nothing like children to humble us and remind us who we are. I'd speak of who we are. I love you the most in the whole world, and I love who you are. And thank you so much for being my first guest on Hatty's Unhinged. And thank you for our lovely friendship as well.
Oh, ditto, and it's an honour.
Right, lots of love.
Bye.
We love it, we love it.